There's an event that I'm involved with on the 16th of March in Cheltenham. It's to do with farming and saving and fighting to keep farms going. It's interesting because a lot of people are fascinated about this issue at the moment and worried that our farmers will disappear. And as you probably, as one of my wonderful viewers will know, that I'm passionate about keeping farming going, and we need more farms and we need more farmers, particularly young people entering into that arena so that they are well equipped for the future and can do us a favour by doing all the hard work and providing food for us. Now, I was given a Facebook link to a farmer who is an organic farmer. They do regenerative farming. They also run an education centre, as it were, to teach young people to go farming. And it was interesting. Now, I'm not going to identify who they are, but I will link to it so you can go and find out. And it's interesting, his little post that he put on about this event coming up on the 16th of March, because it's absolutely fascinating. And I'm slightly concerned that if a farmer who is, I suppose, representing other farmers, puts his head above the parapet to say the things that he does say, and suggests that people do not attend, as you will see, it's a bit of a worry, because there's plenty of people out there who are concerned and who've done lots of due diligence and research about what's going on in this world. And yet this particular farmer seems to have his head in the sand, and listens very much to mainstream media and government and all of the rest of it. Let me read the post and you'll see what I mean, and I'll be interested in your comments about this. This farm is in the Cotswolds, and he was invited. So let's see what it was. Now, I'm doing this on my phone because I don't like to use Facebook myself personally. I have got an account and it's very rare that I sign into it. That's just my own personal reason. So the link worked on my phone, so I'm going to read it from my phone. So it says here, just been invited to this event about fighting for local food and small-scale farming. That's good. On the face of it, an important topic and an interesting meeting. But some of the narrative and context unsettled me, so I fact-checked the organisers, speakers, and in brackets he references the UK column news, and I'm glad I did, and I suggest you do the same, he says. Now, it's interesting that he used the words fact-checked, because if anything is going to raise one's hackles, it's these two words used. We know what happened during the pandemic when a lot of people fact-checked people who called out something that in the end turned out not to be very useful indeed. Anyway, he goes on, free speech is important and a new food system is desperately needed, but I won't be attending this event. And we think to ourselves, I wonder why. Surely he must have some good reasons for it. I support the push for net zero, renewable energy and land use as framework. CO2 is a real issue. Chemtrails are a myth. Governments are not trying to get rid of farmers. Vaccination is a good thing. They didn't kill the inventor of clean energy. The WEF does not control us. Regulations are usually in place for a good reason, he says. Beware, he ends, of right-wing conspiracy theorists within the no farmers, no food movement. Just saying. And then he references the actual event and an article in a paper. I don't know which paper that is. And that is the farming symposium in Cheltenham that I'm involved with. I think I'm emceeing it. I'm not quite, can't remember now exactly what I'm doing, but I'm involved with it. Bowler Hat Farmer is there. John Cook from Dora's Dairy is there, plus a bunch of other people. And it proves to be a fascinating and interesting event. Now, the post that he put up publicly on Facebook has a number of interesting replies to it. And it's interesting to see, and you'll be able to see what people are pushing back. And actually, the farmer in question says, well, I ought to go to these sort of events, although whether or not he does. Now, I'm just being flagged up by the lovely Julia. Discourage anyone from hating on the farmer or social media anywhere, which is very true. You shouldn't go, and that's a very good point. People are entitled to their own opinions. I say that a lot in this show. I present my opinion, I present what information I've got to share. People do their own due diligence. and nobody should have a backlash on somebody who believes very much the things that they believe. In this case, this particular individual farmer does seem to want to stay in the old way of what's been told to him by the government, by perhaps the people around him, and is not prepared to perhaps open his mind and look at the potential. And of course, calling us all conspiracy theorists, well, let's face it, yesterday's conspiracy is today's news. And so perhaps it is worth having an open mind and thinking, is there something to it? But even if that's not the case, even if you still think that the net zero policies are useful, or that CO2 is a dangerous gas, or that the WEF have our best interests at heart, even if you think along those lines, where will that take you if farmers are, and the government, let's not forget, he thought the inheritance tax wasn't too bad a thing in a later post that he puts. But where does that take you with farmers? We need to encourage farmers to come in who are not perhaps biased in any direction, perhaps not biased by the mainstream way of thinking, or indeed biased by thinking that everybody is against farmers, but actually will look and have an open mind. We need the youngsters to see the potential. We definitely need more farmers, and we definitely need more space. But if you think that farmers are not going to go out of business, and we've seen the rate of suicides going up, we've seen the rate of farm closures, and we've seen the reduction of food, then it is a bit of a worry. And as I am one of those in the event, of course, I am targeted as being an extreme right-wingist. And there'll be people who watch this, who watch regularly, but they don't really follow what I say, and will agree with him. And that's perfectly fine. You're all entitled to agree what you want to agree. But all I would say is, isn't it worth, if you're in an industry that does seem to be feeling the pinch at the moment, and things are going awry, to have an open mind? Or perhaps you're a farmer out there who thinks, no, everything's fine. All of these things are great. The amount of money I've got to spend on getting rid of CO2 and putting it back into the ground, the amount of money that my bottom line is so small and so minimal, I'm not even prepared to open my mind to see, is there other ways of doing this? And maybe just shut myself off. It's an interesting conundrum. The problem for those of us who have opened their mind and have done their due diligence and have researched some of the issues that we talk about is that if we don't address some of those things, life is going to become quite tricky for all of us. As I said, as Julia just so rightly flagged up, don't target the individual farmer, but we do need to try and open people's minds, at least to listen. Because unless people are prepared to listen, they may walk themselves into something that is far more troubling, not just for them, and not just for the children that they educate, but for all of us. And so for all of our sakes, open minds is what I would hope these farmers would have. Thank you for watching.